In the dense forests of central India, where the trees whispered secrets to the wind and the rivers sang songs of old, lived a jackal named Chand. Chand was known for his cunning and wit, traits that had kept him alive in the harsh wilderness. Yet, despite his cleverness, he often found himself on the verge of starvation. The jungle was unforgiving, and food was not always easy to come by. One particularly hot summer, the forest suffered a severe drought. The rivers shrank to mere trickles, and the lush greenery turned a desolate brown. The animals of the jungle struggled to find water and food, and Chand was no exception. Driven by hunger, he decided to venture beyond his familiar territory, hoping to find a place where sustenance was more plentiful. Chand's journey led him to the edge of the forest, where he had never dared to venture before. As he wandered through unfamiliar paths, his sharp eyes scanned the horizon for signs of life. The sun blazed overhead, and the earth beneath his paws was scorching. Despite his discomfort, he pressed on, determined to find food and water. As he moved deeper into the uncharted territory, Chand began to feel a sense of unease. The sounds of the forest were different here, and the scent of unfamiliar creatures hung in the air. He was far from home, and the weight of uncertainty pressed down on him. But his hunger pushed him forward, overriding his apprehensions. Just as he was about to turn back, accepting defeat, Chand's ears perked up. In the distance, he heard a faint, rhythmic sound, something that seemed entirely out of place in the wilderness. It was a sound he had never heard before, a deep and resonant thumping that echoed through the trees. Curious and hopeful, Chand decided to investigate, his nose twitching with anticipation. With each step, the mysterious sound grew louder and more distinct, reverberating through the trees like a heartbeat. Chand followed the noise with a mixture of trepidation and excitement, his mind racing with possibilities. Could it be the sound of a herd of animals? A potential feast that would sate his hunger? Or perhaps it was something entirely new, an adventure waiting to unfold. As Chand approached the source of the sound, he found himself at the edge of a clearing. In the center stood an enormous, old drum, partially buried in the earth, its surface cracked and worn from years of exposure to the elements. The drum was unlike anything Chand had ever seen before, a relic from a time long past, left behind by humans who had once inhabited the area. The sound that had drawn Chand was caused by the wind blowing through the clearing, striking the drum's surface and creating a deep, resonant thud. As Chand watched, the drum vibrated with each gust of wind, producing the rhythmic noise that had piqued his curiosity. For a moment, Chand stood transfixed, his mind struggling to comprehend the sight before him. The drum was immense, far larger than any animal he had ever encountered, and its presence filled him with a sense of wonder and fear. Yet, as he observed the drum, his hunger gnawed at him, reminding him of his purpose. Driven by desperation, Chand approached the drum cautiously. Its surface was rough and weathered, and he could see traces of faded paint that hinted at its former glory. Despite its imposing appearance, the drum seemed harmless enough. Chand sniffed around the base, hoping to find scraps of food or evidence of animals that had sought refuge near the drum. As Chand circled the drum, his mind raced with possibilities. The sound that had initially intrigued him was now a source of frustration. He had hoped to find food, but all he had discovered was an old, abandoned drum. Disappointment gnawed at him, and he realized he had ventured far from his territory for nothing. However, Chand was not one to give up easily. He knew that the drum could still serve a purpose. Its presence in the clearing was unusual, and perhaps there was more to it than met the eye. As he pondered his next move, an idea began to take shape in his mind. Chand considered the other animals in the forest, many of whom were just as desperate for food and water as he was. If he could harness the drum's sound to his advantage, he might be able to lure other creatures into the clearing, creating an opportunity for a meal. The thought excited him, and he set about devising a plan. First, Chand needed to test the drum's effects on other animals. He decided to hide in the underbrush near the clearing, waiting to see if the drum's sound would attract any unsuspecting creatures. If it did, he would have a chance to observe their reactions and refine his strategy. For hours, Chand lay in wait, his eyes fixed on the clearing. The sun dipped below the horizon, and the forest was bathed in the soft glow of twilight. As the wind continued to blow through the clearing, the drum emitted its rhythmic thumping, a beacon of sound in the stillness of the night. As the moon rose high in the sky, casting silvery light over the forest, Chand's patience was finally rewarded. From the shadows emerged a curious rabbit, its ears twitching as it cautiously approached the clearing. Drawn by the drum's rhythmic sound, the rabbit ventured closer, its nose quivering with curiosity. Chand watched intently as the rabbit circled the drum, much as he had done earlier. The rabbit seemed captivated by the sound, and Chand could see that it was both intrigued and wary. It was exactly the reaction he had hoped for, and he felt a surge of excitement at the prospect of his plan succeeding. However, just as Chand was about to spring from his hiding place, another sound reached his ears, a low, menacing growl that sent a shiver down his spine. From the opposite side of the clearing, a large wolf emerged, its eyes fixed on the rabbit with predatory intent. Chand's heart raced as he watched the scene unfold. The rabbit froze, paralyzed by fear as the wolf advanced, its movements slow and deliberate. Chand knew he had to act quickly if he wanted to take advantage of the situation. The wolf posed a threat to him as well, but it also presented an opportunity. Summoning his courage, Chand let out a series of loud, piercing howls, mimicking the call of a pack of jackals. The sudden noise startled both the rabbit and the wolf, and for a brief moment, confusion reigned in the clearing. The rabbit seized the opportunity to flee, darting into the underbrush and disappearing from view. The wolf, now aware of Chand's presence, hesitated, its eyes scanning the darkness for the source of the howls. Chand knew he had to act fast, and he continued to howl, hoping to create the illusion of a larger threat. His plan worked, and the wolf, uncertain of the danger, retreated into the forest. With the clearing now empty and the threat of the wolf gone, Chand emerged from his hiding place, a triumphant grin on his face. His quick thinking had saved the rabbit and driven away the predator, but more importantly, it had confirmed the effectiveness of his plan. The drum, with its mysterious sound, had proven to be a powerful tool for luring creatures to the clearing. Chand realized that he could use it to his advantage, creating opportunities for hunting and securing food. It was a revelation that filled him with hope, and he felt a renewed sense of determination. Over the following days, Chand honed his strategy, using the drum to attract animals to the clearing. He became adept at mimicking the calls of other animals, using his cunning to create confusion and opportunities for hunting. His efforts paid off, and he soon found himself with a steady supply of food. As the drought persisted and the forest remained parched, Chand's success did not go unnoticed. Other animals in the jungle began to take note of the clearing and the drum, drawn by the promise of food and safety. Chand became a respected figure among the creatures, admired for his ingenuity and resourcefulness. Through his trials and triumphs, Chand learned valuable lessons about the importance of adaptation and the power of wit. The drum, once a source of frustration, had become a symbol of his resilience and determination. It reminded him that even in the face of adversity, there was always a way forward, a path to success. As the seasons changed and the rains finally returned, the forest began to heal, its vibrant colors and abundant life slowly returning. The rivers swelled with water, and the animals rejoiced, relieved that the harsh drought had come to an end. For Chand, it was a time of reflection and renewal. The lessons he had learned during the drought had transformed him, and he was no longer the desperate jackal searching for food. He had grown wiser and more confident, his experiences shaping him into a leader among his peers. The drum, now a cherished part of his territory, served as a reminder of his journey and the challenges he had overcome. With the forest restored and food plentiful once more, Chand considered what lay ahead. He knew that life in the jungle was unpredictable and new challenges would always arise. But he felt ready to face whatever came his way, armed with the knowledge and wisdom he had gained. As he stood in the clearing, the drum's familiar thumping echoing around him, Chand felt a sense of gratitude for the trials he had endured. They had tested him, pushed him to his limits, and ultimately made him stronger. He realized that even in the darkest of times, there was always a glimmer of hope, a chance to rise above adversity. With a renewed sense of purpose, Chand embraced the future, ready to continue his journey through the wild and unpredictable world of the jungle. He knew that whatever lay ahead, he would face it with courage and cunning, confident in his ability to adapt and thrive. The story of Chand the Jackal and the mysterious drum is a tale of resilience, adaptation, and the power of wit. Through his trials and triumphs, Chand learns valuable lessons about the importance of embracing change and using one's strengths to overcome adversity. In the end, it is his determination and resourcefulness that lead to his success, reminding us that even in the face of challenges, there is always a path forward. If you like the story, then subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories.